Coming up on 5 Minute News. Russia vacuum bombs a Ukraine maternity hospital. Iran nuclear deal talks in trouble over Russia demands. And world food crisis grows as rising prices cause export bans. It's Thursday, March 10. I'm Anthony Davis. A Russian airstrike devastated a maternity hospital on Wednesday in the besieged port city of Mariupol amid growing warnings from the West that Moscow's invasion is about to take a more brutal and indiscriminate turn. The ground shook more than a mile away when the Mariupol complex was hit by a series of blasts that blew out windows and ripped away much of the front of one building. The Russian MOD has confirmed the use of the TOS-1A weapon system in Ukraine, which uses thermobaric rockets, vacuum bombs that create incendiary and blast effects. Today, Russia committed a huge crime, said Volodymyr Nikulin, a top regional police official standing in the ruins. It is a war crime without any justification, he said. President Volodymyr Zelensky wrote on Twitter that there were people, children under the wreckage, and called the strike an atrocity. Videos shared by Zelensky showed cheerfully painted hallways strewn with twisted metal. Authorities, meanwhile, announced new ceasefires on Wednesday morning to allow thousands of civilians to escape bombarded towns around Kiev as well as other cities across the country. It was not immediately clear whether anyone was able to leave other cities, but people streamed out of Kiev's suburbs, many heading for the city centre, as explosions were heard in the capital and air raid sirens sounded repeatedly. From there, the evacuees planned to board trains bound for western Ukrainian regions not under attack. Meanwhile, the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken has said Vladimir Putin will fail in his effort to subjugate Ukraine and will instead lead Russia into a strategic defeat that is already unfolding. Negotiators attempting to revive the Iran nuclear deal cancelled by Donald Trump scrambled on Wednesday to resolve last-minute Russian demands that threatened to scupper negotiations, diplomats said, with the United States appearing unwilling to engage with Russia on the matter. Western powers on Tuesday warned Russia against wrecking an almost completed deal on bringing the United States and Iran back into compliance with the 2015 nuclear accord. Iran's top negotiator returned to Vienna on Wednesday from consultations in Tehran. 11 months of talks to restore the deal, which lifted sanctions on Iran in return for curbs on its nuclear program, have reached their final stages, with several diplomats saying the nuclear deal was now broadly agreed. But just as the final issues were being resolved, Russia presented a new obstacle by demanding written guarantees from the United States that Western sanctions targeting Moscow over its invasion of Ukraine would not affect its trade with Iran. U.S. Undersecretary of State for Political Affairs Victoria Nuland accused Russia on Tuesday of seeking to reap extra benefits from its participation in the effort to restore the nuclear agreement. A Western diplomat said it was not clear what the exact nature of Moscow's demands were, but they appeared broader than its nuclear commitments to revive the deal. They said the talks were now not likely to end this week. The original deal prevented Iran from enriching uranium at levels significant enough to create a nuclear weapon. A global food crisis sparked by Russia's invasion of Ukraine escalated yesterday as Indonesia tightened curbs on palm oil exports, adding to a growing list of key producing countries seeking to keep vital food supplies within their borders. The conflict in Ukraine is threatening global grain production, the supply of edible oils, and fertilizer exports, sending basic commodity prices rocketing and mirroring the crisis in energy markets. Palm oil is the world's most widely used vegetable oil and is used in the manufacture of many products, including cookies, margarine, laundry detergents, and chocolate. Palm oil prices have risen by more than 50% this year. Indonesia's Trade Minister Mohammed Lutfi said the export curbs aimed to ensure that cooking oil prices at home remain affordable to consumers. The rise in prices comes at a time when affordability of food is a major challenge as economies seek to recover from the coronavirus crisis, and is also helping to fuel a broader surge in inflation across the globe. Russia and Ukraine are also important suppliers of edible oils, as well as contributing nearly 30% of global wheat exports. Ukraine announced on Wednesday it had banned a wide range of agricultural exports, including barley, sugar and meat, until the end of the year. The conflict has not only disrupted shipments from the Black Sea region, but is also jeopardizing prospects for harvests as fertilizer prices soar and supplies shrink in response to a sharp rise in the cost of natural methane gas, a key component in the manufacturing process for many products. Russia and Ukraine are both major producers of sunflower oil, and the two countries account for almost 80% of global exports, leaving customers such as India scrambling to secure supplies of alternatives such as palm oil and soy oil. You can subscribe to 5-Minute News on YouTube with your preferred podcast app. Ask your smart speaker or enable 5-Minute News as your Amazon Alexa flash briefing skill. Subscribe, rate and review online at 5minute.news. 5-Minute News is an Evergreen podcast covering politics, inequality, health and climate, delivering independent, unbiased and essential world news daily.